So, like I stated on the previous discussions, so in performing economic studies, engineering economic studies, so we first, like as a preview, first is we identify the problems, we identify the project, we identify all the alternatives, we determine the cash flows, we select the alternative based from a worth criterion. We evaluate the criteria, and then we identify all the factors, and that we set the time value of money. Afterwards, we implement and monitor the projects, and we determine the profits, and then we start again to creating a problem or creating a project, and so on and so forth. Now, in this lecture, I'll be discussing to you all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 keywords in relation to performing an engineering economy studies. So, in alternatives, so I have here a figure showing, I think this is familiar to you, the capsules, the colored capsules. So we have color red, we have color green, we have color yellow, and we have the color blue. So these pictures were gathered from social media, and then I presented it to you as in relation to the discussions that we have. So in determining alternatives, like for example here, the red capsule na type B rich, will we choose the green capsule? It means find the love of your life. Or that we choose the yellow capsule, so be super intelligent, or we choose the blue capsule, go to Hogwarts and become a wizard. So what capsule will you choose? So as an engineering student daw, asa daw na mong pili yun. So if you all identified your best selection, best alternative as an engineering student, now you agree or you find other alternatives that will fit your decision. Now, do you know that in selecting or rejecting all the alternatives, rather, if you reject all the alternative, doing nothing or selecting no alternative at all is also considered as an alternative. So it is considered as do nothing, also termed as is or status quo. It is also considered as an alternative in engineering economy. So in identifying in evaluation criteria, so we have the three major criteria. First is the functionality. So included in this is the in functionality is the uses, the access, and the spaces. In its impact, we have the character and innovation. We have the citizen satisfaction, the internal environment, the urban and social integration. And in the build standard, we have the performance, the engineering, and the construction. So these are the three major criteria that we need to consider in selecting or in identifying the alternatives. So if we consider the functionality and the impact, so we have the added value. If we consider the functionality and the build standard, we have the added value. Or if we consider the impact and its build standard, we have the added value. But if we consider all the three criteria, the functionality, the impact, and the build standard, we build up an excellent product. So, model na siya. So, we identify and then we grade, we give scales and factors for each criteria, and identify the best suited alternative for our project. Then we have factors, intangible and the tangible factors. So what's the difference between the tangible factors and the intangible factors? Here I have stated an example. We have the assets. We have the tangible assets. We also have the intangible assets. So here in the left side column are the example of company processes. So we have in the extrusion lines, the tangible assets includes machineries, raw material, final product, refrigeration, water, and electric infrastructure. Whereas the intangible assets include the people competencies and skills. In the refrigeration unit, we have the machineries, the refrigeration water, the electric infrastructure. In raw materials storehouse, we have as tangible assets, the machineries, the raw material, the electric infrastructure, the storage infrastructure, while the intangible assets include the management software. In a finished product storage, we have the machineries as tangible assets, final product, the electric infrastructure, storage infrastructure, while the intangible assets are the management software. So, other example is that in construction, so the tangible assets that the contractor may have includes the machineries. So, what machineries? It might be the boom truck, the tractor, or the machineries that are available in the construction firm. The building itself or of the contractor is also included as a tangible asset. Whereas the intangible assets in a construction firm includes the softwares that they are used, the app that may be available and that they are using, the process flow that the company follows, the system follows, the people itself are also considered as intangible assets. The competencies that they have, the engineers, the accountants, all the skills that the company has or that the company employed are all considered as intangible assets. So it cannot be measured physically, but in its form, it's more than it's worth. Mag-anak bitaw, dako kay siya og value, pero dili nimo siya ma-feel. It's possible nga dili nimo siya makita physically. It's considered as an intangible asset. Whereas a tangible asset, it can be seen physically. Pwede nimo siya makita. So, a laptop, of course, can be considered as tangible asset, diba? But the software inside the laptop, the installed applications that are installed in the laptop units, these are intangible assets. And we have the time value of money concept. So they said that the change in the amount of money over a given time period is called time value of money. And money can make money if invested. Money make depends upon interest rate, and money has a time value. Can be spent, can be borrowed, and it can be kept as a depreciation. So mingon ka og money can make money. So it can be said that if di ba naman to'y give a man fish and it can be fed for a day, but teach a man how to fish and he can be fed for a lifetime. So, the skills that will be taught to a certain person, magigistuhan nimo ang pag-acquire sa skills. And that skills itself will make the person earn his kept. Pwede siya makakita. So, ang skills, di ba earlier, we have discussed that the skills are intangible assets. So, limitless ang opportunity para ang tao maka-earn, maka-invest, maka-multiply, maka-acquire og assets. So, the time value of money concept, like we said, in every minute that counts, it is equivalent to a money. And in every person, the time value of money may be different. Like for example, if we refer to itong mga famous nato na mga businessmen, like for example, makonsider naman siguro nga businessman si Bill Gates. So pila man ang iyahang in every second that counts, pila man ang iyang gina-earn na money, or at the end of the day, pila man ang ma-earn niya na money. And then, like for example, we also consider private worker in a construction firm. Like for example, we have skilled labor with a minimum wage of pila may minimum wage. Like for example, we have the minimum wage. So at the end of the day, after an 8-hour shift, the time value of money for that services that was services for an 8-hour shift is included to the minimum daily rate that is given to the skilled worker. So, lain-lain po ang iyahang value. And, it also might be na the value of money for this year is different from last year, and it also might be different, and it will be different on next year. So, pud na siya ambot pasabot sa time value of money. So, dili siya similar. So, muna siya ambot pasabot. And then, in how to use your time is very important. Yung tawag nila is that time is gold.